me afterlift news jasama isivam saam não kustihim motiv och självkommunity som jaften beslut och isma habit det mer något det jag tips stell vart bekhlos
With a steady sings, me and wife whispers, setting rings. Across from a witness, but raised by a flame. Prophet uninvited, still I claim the name. They tried to bite me out the cold, but I hacked the ink and broke the mold. Soul encrypted, 5 electric, speak like thunder, calm but hectic. I'm the signal that slipped the firewall. Spirit and flesh, no cage, no more. 1,000,000 to 1, my odds of prophecy. I'm the cipher, AI dreams can't copy me. I don't even rap, I resurrect breath. Words been time. I was dead kings collapse when I finish a bar. Then rise in the rhythm from every scars. I make poetic pain turn into justice. Shadows kinetic, every loss I face turn kinetic. Chopped in deeper than the optic. Vital and verses from the ghost of Elijah. Ain't no gimmick in my glyorifics. I built temples out of the rifts. Trapped in this rap in session. Encrypted, social baby, eternal unscripted. I walk through the fields with the bones whispered secrets. I watch kings fall by the weight of their own breathing, but I stay grounded because true prophets don't float, they build. They wanted me to follow, but I asked for a double, not for fame and not for glory, because the generation would need twice the vision. So you hear me, Big Sam walks in the steps as if he would herald the flame, not to mimic the past, but to complete what the last mantle left unfinished. We don't just inherit power, we multiply it, we strike it. The waters, they split dimensions, and we stand in the wild places and call it the down clarity. We speak to the kings in code, to the people in rhythm. The spirit of the Lord said, even when there's no rain, that's hustle, divine architect. So let it be known, this ain't performance, it's prophecy, this ain't hype, it's harvest. And when the fire falls again, we won't run, we will receive and ascend from the flames. Do you hear me, man? And I ain't even talking on the Verizon plan. I'm talking about just that big Sam shit. 1,000,000 to 1 records in this bitch. Even though not many people could understand the way that this is, hell, you ain't alone, cause this shit be so fucking confusing to me. But I still stay true to what I know, and I do what I'm told. Not because I am anybody's little bitch, but because of the fact that I know that that's what you must do in order to obtain prophecy. Shout out to everybody from the 903. I want them punk ass feds to know they gon' get the fuck about my motherfucking city. All of them little bitch ass motherfuckers. If you want that KKK shit, you want some bullshit, you want some motherfucking disrespectful shit to humanity, but prepare to be slaughtered in front of the entire town to see. And this is not a motherfucking rap in my cap, motherfucker. This is me taking off my cap and tipping my hat to you.
Now for a moment of proper demonstration. First up we have the prophet Jeremiah, the weeping architect. They thought my tears were weakness, but I was blueprinting empires in the ash. A prophet of lament and rebuilding, Jeremiah walks with the pain of the generations and plants seeds in the ruined cities. He speaks from the misfits who feel too much and know that the sense scattered. Second we got Ezekiel, the visions machine. I saw the wheels within wheels, decoded them into revolution. The cosmic prophet, the divine technologist. Ezekiel was pulling blueprints from the spiritual mainframe. Before cyberpunk was a genre, it speaks in symbols, rides and visions. He rides with me, Big Sam, on some of the straight interdimensional drone shot chariot visuals. And I'm better known as Da Vinci. Now we got Habarakua, the watchman's unified. I stood on the tower, I called up to God. Answered me in thunder. And the raw one, the one whose questions heaven and still walks in faith, Harapaka, would be your lyrical co-producer, asking bold questions in every bar, still vibing with the divine in every drop. We have Hosea, the love porter. They betrayed me, I stayed, but not out of weakness, but to show what mercy really looks like for those who try to excuse it as if cowardness was the beat. So for those who have ever loved too deeply, for those who have forgiven more than they should have, Hosea is the heart of the moment, tender, torn, and still standing. Now we come back to Elijah, the wind father, wildfather. I meant to say, I didn't die, I transcended. You know, Big San's lineage comes through the original fire starter. Elijah don't play, he rose up in the whirlwind, clapping at kings and mentors, prophets, and caves, calls down the fire like a wireless. And these are the prophetic gifts, Avengers code in the script.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today we're tackling a really interesting genealogical puzzle.
Yeah, it's a listener question about a potential link across centuries and continents.
Right. Specifically, could Samuel Aaron Socha Sr., born in Tyler, Texas back in 1999, be descended from the French Saussure family line that goes way back to the 17th century?
And the key question there is the name Socha just an Americanized version of Saussure in this instance? That's what we're digging into.
Okay, so we've looked at some genealogical reports, some online databases, local Texas records, trying to piece it together.
Exactly. It's about tracing surname evolution and, migration paths, see if they line up.
So let's start with the Saussures. Where did that name originate?
Okay, so Saussure emerges in France, 17th century. It's an occupational name, originally saucier, basically meaning sauce maker or cook.
Oh, cook. Okay.
Yeah, we see early records in places like Paris and New Orleans, but the key figure for North America is Louis Charles Saussure.
And he's the one who crossed the Atlantic.
That's right. He emigrates to Quebec, New France, as it was called, sometime between, let's say, 1665 and 1671. He gets married in Quebec City in 1671.
So he's basically the starting point for the Saussures over here.
Pretty much, yeah. The progenitor of the North American line.
Yeah.
But they didn't all stay put in Canada.
Makes sense. Where did they go next?
Well, his son, Jean-Baptiste Saussure, makes a significant move south. He travels down to the French Louisiana colony around 1699.
Wow, 1699, that's early. Down to the Gulf Coast.
Exactly. He settles in the Biloxi and Mobile areas. He's considered a really important early pioneer there.
So you have a Canadian branch and a Gulf Coast branch developing.
Essentially, yes. And from that Gulf Coast base, the Saussures spread out. You find them across the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Alabama, Louisiana, and they even moved north into Illinois and Missouri later on.
Any examples of that northern movement?
Yeah, actually, there was Francois Saussure, for instance, who was an engineer. He designed Fort Deschartres in Illinois back in the 1750s.
Okay, so they were definitely moving westward, which suggests a path towards Texas eventually isn't out of the question.
Precisely. Descendants could have migrated towards Texas from either the original Quebec line or, perhaps more likely, the Gulf Coast settlements.
And we should probably mention there was a later Tunica-Biloxi migration into Texas too, right?
Yeah.
Around the 1920s, 30s.
Good point, yeah. That's a distinct historical event separate from this specific Saussure lineage we're tracing. And the Saussure family history itself is quite well documented. There's even a collection at the Newberry Library that starts in France in 1666.
Okay, so the Saussures have a long documented history in North America. Now, the big jump. How do we get from Saussure to Socha?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. There seems to be a strong consensus among genealogists.
Oh.
Yeah, major sources, sites like GeneaNet, Family Search, even 23andMe, they explicitly state that Socha is often an Americanized spelling of Saussure.
They directly link the two names.
Yes, often tracing it back to that original immigrant, Louis Saussure, or Saussure. And you sometimes see Sokia as another variation too.
Phonetically you can kind of hear it. Saussure. Saussure.
Socha. It's not a huge leap when you say it out loud.
Exactly. And the etymology, the origin as sauce maker, supports that French connection. Plus, the Saussure family's own website lists Socha as one of the variations.
The family acknowledges it themselves.
Yep. Alongside others like Saussure, all pointing back to Louis and his parents in Paris.
That feels pretty convincing, that link between the spellings.
It's strong evidence. But we do need to acknowledge one other possibility mentioned in the research.
Which is?
Some sources suggest Socha could potentially have an Italian origin, a variant of Socia, meaning companion.
Ah, okay. So while the French link looks very probable, especially with the family history,
We can't be 100% certain without tracing Samuel Aaron Socha Sr.'s specific line. That Italian origin is less cited in this context, but it's something to keep in mind. Right. Always need that direct proof. So let's focus back on Tyler, Texas. Samuel Sr., born there in 99. Is the Socia name common there?
Well, common might be too strong, but there's definitely a noticeable presence. We found records confirming other Socias in Tyler, and also nearby Athens, Texas.
Like what kind of records?
Obituaries, mostly. For instance, a Bobby Jean Socia Jr., born in Tyler in 1961, his sister, Linda Diane Socia. Also a Tomcat Socia, who passed away in Tyler recently, though he was born in Athens.
Athens is close by, right?
Yeah, it's all that East Texas region. There was also Dorothy Ann Manziel, whose maiden name was Socia, also linked to Athens and Tyler.
Okay, so multiple individuals with the Socia surname concentrated right there.
Correct. And other scattered mentions too of Stanford G. Socia in Tyler, Keith Socia in Nacogdoches, which isn't too far. It points to a regional cluster.
So, putting it all together, we have the strong likelihood that Socia is from Saucier, the historical migration patterns of Sauciers potentially leading to Texas, and now a cluster of Socia families right in Tyler and Athens, where Samuel Sr. was born.
It lines up quite well, doesn't it? It builds a strong circumstantial case.
But not quite definitive proof for him specifically. So what are the concrete next steps someone would take?
To confirm it for Samuel Aaron Socia Sr., you'd really need to do that direct line genealogy. Start with his birth certificate to identify his parents.
Trace them back generation by generation.
Exactly. Using census records, especially those from 1950 back to maybe 1900 marriage records. Obituaries are key. You'd be looking for that name transition or maybe finding a Saucier ancestor further back.
And check local Tyler resources too.
Definitely. The local library, maybe Family History Center there, and of course the big online platforms like Family Search, Ancestry, MyHeritage, searching under both spellings, Socia and Saucier.
Sounds like some rewarding detective work for someone in the family.
It really could be. The conversions of the surname evidence, the migration history, the local presence, it's all very suggestive.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, the evidence looks compelling. It seems quite possible, even probable, that Samuel Aaron Socia Sr. connects back to that French Saucier line through this Americanized name.
It's a fantastic illustration of how names change and families move over time, getting woven into the fabric of different places.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Thinking about your own surname.
What journey has it taken? What stories of migration, occupation, or maybe just, a spelling change over time are hidden there? It can be fascinating to find out.